So I figured I'd do a video on Signality since I don't have one up right now. And basically, Signality is the study of how the PLF um, sends signals through standard time documentation. So like video, film, writing, anything that's set down on paper or anything that is um, captured in time, even in memories. So the easiest way to study Signality, how this life form, the PLF, communicates with people and organizes people based on natural law, is by understanding how it works. So Signality works through what are called omniscient discourses. Omniscient discourses. And these are basically the factual information. So these equal facts. Okay? So omniscient discourses are facts, as opposed to major discourses, which are like major ideas that everybody would recognize, such as an apple, a snake, school. All these things are major discourses, things that most people would recognize, as opposed to minor discourses like Denzel Washington or things that target a specific audience. CDs, compact discs. People who grew up in the 90s would know about CDs, whereas millennial individuals probably wouldn't understand what a CD is. They're used to thumb drives and MP3 players. Okay, so you have minor discourse, major discourse, then you have omniscient discourses, which are facts. And the low priority facts or low priority omniscient discourses aren't really what we're looking for when we're looking for Signality. This life form is trying to communicate the most important information to people. So low priority omniscient discourses are just facts that are like information, such as the distance from the Earth to the Sun is 93 million miles. Okay? That would be, though it sounds like a really important fact, it is not an important fact. So you wouldn't see it in Signality very often. The reason it's not an important fact is because it doesn't enable us to do anything. So when you're talking about high priority omniscient discourses, which is what Signality uses, you're talking about facts that enable us to complete the space exploration path. And these are called enabling facts. Okay, so the high priority omniscient discourses are enabling facts. They let us know the most important information in order to begin the space exploration. And this is mostly what Signality is about. Okay, so how do you find these signals from this life form, which is 97 billion years old, about to be 98 billion years old in about 8,000 years? How do we find these things out? Well, Signality can be broken down into three different sentential activities as well. There is vocality, numerality, and attentivity is the ones that we use. Though there are others like intentionality. The three main ones that we use in quinary scholarship is vocality, numerality, and attentivity. Okay, so vocality is the study of words that are used by this life form. A good example would be the Geoffrey Plantagenet. Geoffrey Plantagenet. Okay, so Geoffrey Plantagenet was an English person who had children who ended up being kings of England. And this was around the time of the Crusades. And so the name Geoffrey is used to talk about Big Bang pair, the Big Bang pair. The reason being is because the kings of England were supposed to use Christianity, like the Crusades, use Christianity to spread the news there were planets in heaven. Okay? But they failed to do that, and so the term Geoffrey is now used by this life form to mean not being able to figure out there are planets in heaven. Geo is like Earth, and Plantagenet sounds like planet, and also age is in the middle there. Also, generations is in the name Plantagenet. So anytime you hear the name Geoffrey, it's in reference to not understanding there are planets in heaven through organized religion. And you see this all the time. If you look at the word Geoffrey in any commercial, in any musical song, any sort of basketball player, anytime you see the name Geoff, it is reference to planets in heaven. All right, with numerality, you see this a lot in, let's say, communication. Communication is done at 3 hertz. And so the English, which go in the 3rd set of the SMCP, and also the Chinese, which go 3rd in the 1st set of the SMCP, are both very big on using paper to communicate. Paper is widely used in China, and it is one of the inventions of the Chinese, because they go 3rd in the first SMCP set. SMCP set. Their tabs will go 3rd. So it goes Jewish, Black, or African, and then Asian with the Chinese. And so this life form, trying to communicate that the Chinese people were going to go 3rd, as the SMCP goes, in the 1st set, it had the Chinese develop paper in order to express that communication. And also the English, which go in the 3rd set, they go 1st in the 3rd set of the SMCP. So each SMCP set has 10 SMPs with a TAS in it. And in the 3rd set, right now we're still in the 1st set on the 2nd TAS. And in the 1st set, the 3rd TAS would be Chinese. But in the 3rd set, the 1st SMP, the 1st TAS would be English. And so England is known for communication. Their language and their writing and literature is known throughout the world, and is often spoken throughout the world. And that's a way of using the numerality, the fact they go 3rd, to talk about communication at 3 hertz. It takes 3 hertz to communicate ideas, which occur at 2 hertz. So that's sort of how that works out with numerality. And then finally, attentivity is using dates. So like a date 1965 can be used because for the termination of the singular life path. Right now, when we die on Earth, we go to the planets in heaven, and every 500 years we're transported to another planet that's been cultivated already by previous generations. And before them, previous forms of life, such as animals and dinosaurs, and then before them, microbes and things that cultivate the planets so that each generation afterward can use it. Well, when it hits, and these are called inhabited planets, IPs. So when it hits IP 6,500,000, the singular life path is going to be stopped. There's no longer going to be IP transference of individuals in order to force us to go on space exploration. So films that came out in 1965, because of this number 65, the 6,500,000, all refer to the stopping of the singular life path. And if you watch the film The Sound of Music, her arms go really wide when she's singing. This symbol is a signal for the single life path from IP1 to the final IP at 6,500,000. And that's what those wide arms mean. Whenever you see wide arms like that, it symbolizes, or 2 points, it symbolizes the single life path, or it can. You might have to use the numbers, numerality or attentivity 1965, to determine if that's what it's talking about or if it's talking about something else, such as particle explosions, which are needed for Western pairs, or not Western pairs, Western particle explosions for self-PC. Okay, so how do we know that this stuff is true? Because of sentient loops. You will see the same ideas repeated over and over again, such as the circle and the square. The circle represents the matrix particle where life began, and the square represents ignorance about the matrix particle, not realizing that we started out as energy particles. So anytime you see a square, there'll be a sort of attack made. You'll see that whenever you see a square in a video or in film, it means there's going to be an attack, and it's called the square attack by QRI. And whenever you see a circle, it represents the matrix particle to some extent, or the origin of life. Okay, so, and when you see it multiple times, it's called a sentient loop. And that's how signality works, is that these ideas continue to loop around so that you see them over and over and over again, and then it becomes obvious that that's what's occurring. Okay, so that'll do it for signality, and you can read the books. I'll put it in the comments section how to access them. My name is Aman Kawanyata, and I'll see you next time.